Now folks, I forgot the most obvious pickup of all at the end of all this, and that is a dozen roses. I was led by God to get a dozen roses, which divides by 3. Of course, rose divides by 3. This is the end of the red marathon, and this is the last item that I didn't put in that video. Well, it has a separate video all its own now. Okay? And we're going to solve a dozen roses and find love in a dozen roses. Okay? So rose divides by 3. It's exactly 3 points higher than love by divine ordinance. So a red rose, okay, is 27 plus 57, 84, and then, okay. But now we're going to solve the divine phrase, a dozen roses. And why do we always get a dozen? Because 12 divides by 3. Okay, now what's also very shocking about this particular dozen roses, which I got from Superstore today, is that on the bag it says freedom. Like they're called freedom or something. Well, freedom equals 66, equals happy, equals family, equals blessed, equals classic. And the reason I mention this so obviously is because the flower food that comes with these roses is branded classic. So, classic equals 66, starting with love in class, okay? And freedom equals 66 for the glory of the Trinity, who is the giver of all freedom, okay, to men, okay? And so now, the question everyone wants to know is, can you find love in a dozen roses? Of course you can. If you can't find love in a dozen roses, where can you find love? So let's get it on the board. Let's get it on the board. We need real estate. Make way for a dozen roses, people. This is epic stuff. This is epic stuff. Okay? Of course, rose divides by 3. But this is the exact 3-word phrase. This is the exact 3-word phrase that has been spoken on the lips of people by the millions all over the world. A dozen roses. Okay? So you've got an A plus 1 here, you've got a D plus 1 here, and then you've got the S plus 1 on the end of roses. Okay? All rose, a single rose divides by 3, and then single divides by 3. Rose is 57, which remember is a triple 8 by the law of prime. 57 is 3 times 19. 19 is the 8th prime. Okay, so 57 equals triple 8. That's rose, a single rose. And it starts with 2 letters that divide by 3, differing by 3, 18 and 15. And then this is 24 triple 8. So like king for 3, 24 triple 8. Grand total makes triple 8. Now I'm going to give you a bonus gem on the 8th here. A single rose adds to 57, which is 3 19s, 3 8s. Well, multiple roses adds another 8, 19, 8th prime on the end. Okay? So 1 rose is 3 8s. Multiple roses is 4 8s to the glory of Jesus equals 8 8. Okay? Think of a game of golf. 1 club is 2 8s. Okay? A double of 19. Multiple clubs is 3 8s. And then 1 wood is 3 8s. Multiple woods is 4 8s. Okay? And then 1 driver is 3 8s, I believe, and multiple drivers is 5 8s. It's all multiples of 19, which is the 8th prime. And now you know why we pluralize things with an S, which equals the 8th prime. But now let's get the 3 fest in here. A dozen roses. And then we'll find love in a dozen roses. So what does the whole thing add to? Well, this is 81 that I already have circled here. Love plus half a love. And then you've got 45, you've got 60. So the whole thing adds to 141. So you can find love plus 33. So, can you find love in a dozen roses? That's our task, to find 2 loves in here. Let's see, 31 plus 45. Okay. Well, we can go this way. I'm just keeping this word Zen together. 45 plus a D and an E, that's love number 1. Okay. You can do this multiple ways. And then, that makes it a little bit, so S and S38, we would need a 14 points left over. Okay, that's not exactly the happiest way to go, I would say. Okie dokie dokie. 6 points. Well, you can go R, O, and O to make 48 plus an E and A. What does that leave us with? 30 plus 24. Yeah, that works, I believe. Now I lose track of which ones I had highlighted and which one I didn't have highlighted. an R and an O and an O, and an E and an A, and then yeah, okay, that works. And then you can take this E, this S to make 24, plus the D and the Z to make another love, and then you're left with 33 from the N and the S. Okay, so we found love plus 33 and a dozen roses. So let's get the writing on the wall. A dozen roses equal love plus, let's do it in red, as is fitting for the red marathon. A dozen roses equals love plus 33. And you know how king 33 is for 3. 33 equals name, equals amen. Okay, it's king 33. So love plus 33, and we found the 2 loves plus the bonus 33 in a dozen roses. How many letters? 11. 11 glorifies 3 because it's all factor 3. When you speak it, E-L-E-V-E-N, that divides by 3 in 6 letters. 11 is the 5th prime, 5 in turn is the 3rd prime. Straight to 3. 11. So the number of letters glorifies 3, the number of words is 3, and I'll just quickly count the number of strokes. Doesn't quite divide by 3, but using the law of fine. Okay. Good night. And then if you're very skilled on the art of what God ordained with +1 front and back, like in his name, God, there's +1 front and back with 3's in the center. Same thing with the word Jesus. +1 front and back with 3's in the center, and it all knits together with other things. Okay? Well, that's the same phenomenon with dozen roses. The D is +1 in the front of dozen, and this is a gold train of 3's. And then the S is a +1 on the back of roses, and this is a gold train of 3's. So pay particular attention to these values here. This was 45, this was 57. Together, they make 102, the first 3-digit number that divides by 3. And then you've got these +1s front and back, just like the word God, just like the word Jesus. And so the obvious follow-up is to just stick the most obvious +1 of all in front. A equals 1. So now you have 3 +1s that perfectly make 24 888. So a dozen roses in 3 words divides by 3. Being love plus 33. It's obvious. So there you go. Here I hold in my hand a dozen roses. In the name of love, to the glory of the Triune God who is love. And of course, if you study rose petal patterning, it screams out 3's like you wouldn't believe. Everything is wrapping up the number 3. It's like petals overlap, basically in 3's. Like the average turn of a rose has 3 petals. And by the way, the word petal equals love. So a single red petal, you know, if I was to pluck one of the outer ones off here, that comes off more readily. So for the record, petal equals love. I don't believe there's anyone else in history that is aware of that other than myself right now, but that's why we need to spread this information. Petal equals love by Divine Ordinance. And then a red petal is love plus half a love, because red is half a love. So a red petal is 81. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 to the glory of the Trinity. And of course, if you look at these things, in their design, they scream out the nature of 3 with the central shaft and then branching left and right like 3's. So, a rose petal is 57 plus 54 equals 111 perfectly, 111. And then you can say the rose petal, and that's in 9 letters. So now you can say the rose petal, here, the rose petal that I hold in my hand. The rose petal adds perfectly to 12 times 12 in 12 letters by Divine Ordinance. Done. We've just solved every rose petal and every rose in the history of the universe for the glory of the Triune God. Wow. There you go. Very cool. Very cool. And of course the word stem divides by 3. Long stem divides by 3. Leaf divides by 3. Bloom divides by 3. Open up divides by 3. Okay, and all the rest of it can be solved. Interestingly, the word thorn also divides by 3. Okay? Everything ordained for the glory of Jesus and the Triune God and the whole story of God. And then even look at the leaflets. The triangular nature of leaves cannot be denied. And the word for leaf, the 3-clef root for leaf in Hebrew is aleh, with 30 at the center. Okay? You just do it all. So it all divides by 3. as does the word tree, the word tree in Hebrew. And then just look at the triangular nature of the leaflets underneath the very roses. It's all threes. It's all threes. Once you know what God is up to and why, that He's three persons, everything in this universe, if you study it properly, it's pure threes. I'm telling you, study the patterns of rose petal swirls and how they interlock with threes. Basically, it's like 3 petals around each turn of the rose to glorify the Trinity. Just like the tulips have 3 petals interlocked with another 3. It's like, that's what God is doing. It's all about unity. Love is unity. God is united. He's 3 persons in one. Perfect unity. So, roses. Petal equals love. So, put 3 petals together. That's love plus love plus love. And that's like typically a single turn of the rose. Look at the petals in a rose. You basically get 3 petals going around once. Okay? And then it's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. So again, a red rose equals 84, equals ketchup, equals tomato. It just keeps coming and coming. But this is one of my favorites. And the fact that, you know, this particular bag, you know, has the word freedom, which divides by 3, equaling 66. And the food is branded classic, which equals 66. It's like, the more you look, the more you see. But my favorite part of all is the 3 words, a dozen roses equals love plus 33. So, can you find love in a dozen roses? Of course you can. If you can't find love in a dozen roses, where can you find love? Done. Solved. So, petal equals love. And then rose is 3 points higher than that. It's all 3s, but petal equals love perfectly. And then if you say a single petal, single equals 66, well, there it is again. 66 plus 54 equals 120 perfectly. So a single petal, 120 perfectly. And then a single rose petal, and you can just keep a single red rose petal, and you just keep pushing it higher and higher and higher for the number 3 in the name of love. Amen. There you go. So and then the word every divides by 3. So every single petal. Done. Every single petal exists for the glory of the Trinity. Amen equals 33. Find love in everything.